Hi everyone, welcome to the RISE Careerwise Get Hired Summit. And today and now we have with us Sriram T V, who is the Vice President and Head of Human Resources at Robert Bosch Engineering and Business Solutions. He himself has had a very interesting journey and something I'm sure we are all going to take away a lot from. But he's transitioned from being an engineer himself and now he's into people and talent management solutions. So let's hear more from Sriram. Sriram, thank you so much for joining us and welcome to the summit.
Hi, Vinny. Thank you. Yeah, nice to be in this interview. Yeah.
And could you tell us a little bit about your responsibilities at Bosch and also what's a typical life like for an engineer at work?
Oh, wow. So, your first part of the question was what is about my role, right? Yeah, right. So, I am responsible for HR in Bosch, yeah, in this division. So, when I say HR, it's about the complete life cycle of an employee, right from the point that a guy comes into the company, and then we select him, and then he comes into the company, and then he kind of starts learning, getting used to the company, and then he starts working, and then we grow his talent, we grow his career, and so on, and then he grows in the company, takes higher responsibilities, changes jobs within the company, and so on. And in case he wants to keep moving, of course, we also very respectfully exit. So, I mean, I would say all those topics that come within the life cycle of an employee. So, if you want to name the kind of functions, it's about talent acquisition, it's about talent development, it's about talent management, learning. Sorry, learning, and then engagement, engaging them throughout their life cycle, statutory ethics, all that comes into life cycle. So that's my responsibility. I have a very good team of about 75 people working with me to enable this company of 20,000 people. So that's a little bit about my role. And then you say, what does the life of an engineer look like? Okay, maybe, yeah, an engineer, normally thought about as a very logical thinking guy. So he kind of wants things black and white. So kind of he comes in the morning and kind of continues with what he left yesterday in terms of like I assume, say he's a software engineer, like, so his program wouldn't have been working yesterday, so he has to sit there, continue, check with other experts, take the software into the lab, check it out, come. So actually he really doesn't realize the thing is passing. In between, he has got mails to check, also some social engagements around and all that, and he doesn't, and a lot of other engagement. Even I'm not talking about COVID times and normal times, right? Okay. So if you ask me, I'm a very passionate engineer, so life is very, very, very interesting. In Bosch, all the more interesting, right?
Fantastic. So tell us, you said that obviously you are a part of the entire employee's life cycle from bringing him on board. So what is the typical process of hiring that you look at? Because Bosch is an aspirational company to work for, and a lot of people would want to know within the industry and within your organization, what are the practices so they can come prepared if they have to apply for a job?
Right. So this mic distance is okay. Yeah,
Yes, yes, yes.
you're right. So one is the guys who are fresh from the institutes. We call them fresh engineers. Yeah. So so this we have a kind of defined set of target colleges which we keep revisiting every year. So we go to these campuses. We got a laid out program. We have our own selection test. Everything is digital automated. So we have our own platform through which we do it. So we have a selected written test which consists of general aptitude as well as technical test. Depending on your electronics engineer or a computer science engineer, we have a second variant of the test, and then we have our interview panels interviewing these candidates, and then they just get on board. So this is broadly the scheme for engineers who are coming from colleges. So if you take laterals, the process is a bit simpler. So the laterals are against very specific requirements. So the specific department, the technical team kind of does 2-3 rounds of interviewing, and then later the HR guy looks at and offer. So the process is quite simple, but yeah, of course, our expectations is a bit. Yeah, they have to be technological. Content is very important. So because Bosch is all about content and technology, I mean, even our counterparts in Germany, even the highest of the guy can speak latest technology. So we expect quite rich content. So I think if you're focused and if you have the right content, I think Bosch is the right place for you.
Okay, brilliant. And you said you do have certain select colleges and where you do the hiring regularly. But what about talent pools? Like, does leaving a resume help? Does it increase my chances? Or is it better to just apply when we find out about a vacancy? What is better in the order of preference? Which
Right. Yeah. See, if you're a fresh engineer, if you're doing your final year, you should look out for Bosch's advertisements. I mean, while I said we have a set of target colleges, we don't restrict ourselves to this. We also do off-campus activities. That means we just select one college randomly, and then we announce, invite everybody, all the other colleges. Also, we call it pool campus or off-campus or whatever. And so so all you have to do if you're a fresh engineer is to keep looking out for in the social media about requirements of Bosch, and you can apply for it. So I mean, we are that way we are a very fair, equal opportunity company. So once we go off campus, pool campus, the college doesn't matter to us. So whoever comes through the selection process, if you're a lateral, yeah, you looked at LinkedIn or you looked at our advertisements, and you can apply. It's just your content and experience matters, nothing else.
and since you did say that you're managing a whole workforce of 20,000 people, what I want to learn from you is, do you hire a lot every year? And if you do, how do you balance that scale of hiring and the speed of hiring with the quality of hiring, given that you said also content is really important?
Absolutely. It's actually it's a game that we have to play, right? Um, See, we invest a lot of time, effort in kind of selecting the right people, and so our wish is to kind of keep them in the company. Typically, there are many people who can see around us in the company who spend 10 years, 15 years, 20 years in the company. In fact, the current gen people are asking, hey, how come? Can you tell me how are you able to continue in the same company for 10 years, 15 years? So that's something a bit unexplainable. I mean, only when you get in and spend after a few years, it's difficult, some kind of a thing. So coming back to your question, um, yeah, we spend a lot of time teaching them the domain, the technology, and all that, and then they kind of get engrossed into it, and so they stay more for their work content rather than uh, rather than anything else. So I think we kind of our one of the strong uh, uh, strategy for us to retain people is what they get to do in the company, what they get to learn, what they get to do, and the kind of environment that we provide. So we uh, it's a large program. We give them a great onboarding experience, and then so it's a big thing running. So we put our best foot. I'm not saying that nobody leaves the company, but of course we keep it single digit as much as possible, right?
That's brilliant. And, so of course, yours is largely engineering based company. And how does one remain relevant to technology in all these changing times? You said even your German, CEO in Germany himself, when he's so senior, is totally updated on the newer practices and everything. So how do you keep relevant? How does a new joinee or even your current employees remain aligned with all the changes that are happening?
Yeah, very, very relevant question. Staying relevant. See, learning and development is one of the areas which we invest the highest, right? So, one is about learning what you're doing. Continuously learning so that you're able to do it better, your own project, your own domain. The learning is part of your work. Your customer comes and teaches you. When I say customer, our Bosch counterparts as well. So they come and teach you, you learn. You have your seniors who are automotive experts, for example, so you learn from them. You have lab all around, so you learn while you're working. So this is one aspect of it, but it doesn't mean that you only learn on the topic that you're working on. We also want people to get updated about the latest technologies and so on. And so we have a very updated, very state of the art learning platforms where, like, you can choose your courses, and you can pay the fees. can choose any course, pay the fees, and learn it yourself. You don't have to get any approvals or something. You choose your courses and you learn it, and then you get the money back from the company. So you learn AI, you learn So we have a very open learning thing. So then you can then we also conduct company wide learning stages. Like you can get a basic AI knowledge, and then you can have a medium AI knowledge, then advanced AI knowledge, and then once you qualify, then you look for AI jobs around in the company. You can apply for it. You can apply for a change in job or so on. So different kinds of training, or in your own domain, we have, suppose a guy is working in automotive software. We also teach him higher level automotive domain specific training. So it's all about learning, and I think there's a plenty. We provide plenty of opportunities for learning, and we believe that's the main investment that we do in these in people, that's going to give us back in terms of good work in the technologies that we want. Yeah.
Right. But, and then my question would be, what about organizations that haven't come up to speed that far? How do those employees remain relevant then? Like in your organization, like you said, there are facilities. So if I had to be working, how would I remain relevant? Like, is it you recommend taking up courses on all these different platforms now which are providing?
Absolutely. See, learning more and more, learning has to be a self-initiative. I mean, gone are the days when when you're nominated for a classroom training program and somebody pulls you for a training. No, I think continuous learning. There are a lot of materials there. There's a lot of stuff there in the open, which was not the case. When I was a student, or when I was getting into a job. But there's a lot of things there, and you can take certification courses. I think learning is the only thing which is going to take you. I think it's there in the open market. I think people who have learned, organizations that have learned, have come up. So I think learning is the only thing. So you have to learn on your own, and it doesn't cost money nowadays. There's a lot of stuff available in the open source, right? So I think you basically should have the passion and the zeal to learn, I would say.
Okay. And so tell me, what technical skills and soft skills do you see as the skills which are going to be here to stay for the next 3 to 5 years, and the skills that are going to help people survive and thrive?
Yeah. Um, let me answer this question a bit differently. So, see, if you had asked me this question about 5 6 years ago, and I will say very engineering skills, coding skills, these are going to be very essential. So, you got to let learn. But actually, things have changed a little bit with AI coming into all the fields, including engineering. The predefined engineering things are kind of becoming more automated, self-intelligent, and things like that. So we need people who can kind of use this effectively and do automated work, but then they should have the other soft skills. They should be able to integrate systems and all that. So if you ask me, soft skills are the priority number one. That's what is going to be more demanding in the next 5 to 10 years. I mean, you won't believe the nature of job that who's called an architect today. Maybe like user experience, design thinking. These are going to be the things. So I think your soft skill, your spread of knowledge is going to be more important than your classic engineering skills, because more and more of classic engineering is going to be replaced by machines and all that. I'm not saying that classic engineering, of course you should know the fundamentals, otherwise you can't learn it. But then more of soft skills, knowing multiple things and design thinking, putting things together. I think this is what is going to be the next 5 to 10 years skills. That's going to be more prevalent, going to be more relevant.
Sorry, so when you say soft skills, you mean more things like design thinking? What other soft skills should one hone up?
Yeah, design thinking, ability to communicate, ability to abstract, ability to put a lot of systems together, these kind of things. Not just classical engineering design or something like that, like how I design a vehicle. I mean, this is okay. This is something that can be automated, that can be repetitive jobs can be automated, like that. Even in engineering design, this can be automated. But something that only humans can do is put these things together, use artificial intelligence to decide, develop user friendly platforms. Uh, these kind of that's what I mean by soft
More
skills,
from
not
the people.
classic design. Yeah,
Okay,
on the people side,
understood.
right?
So, what's a typical career path of an engineer? And I ask you this because you have a very interesting journey and you sound so passionate about engineering. And then you also sounded really passionate when you're talking about the whole range of things you do in your role now as an HR head, and also with regard to learning. what would a person who's looking at a career in engineering typically look forward to? What's a good career path?
Yeah. Oh, actually, at least in my company, we have defined the career path as three distinct, broadly speaking, right? Uh, One is the technical career path. That means you remain a techie guy, and you can even grow up to the vice president of the company, remaining a techie. You don't have to become some kind of a business manager necessarily if you have to grow in your career. So we also have enough opportunities to grow in a technical career path. The other is a project career path. That means as you grow, you kind of manage bigger projects, right? Matrix projects and bigger projects. So that means you can be a project manager of a large project and maybe grow to a vice president level. So this we call it a project career path, and then comes the classic business or line career path where you manage people, you manage businesses and things like that. The classical line career path. So we clearly distinguish these three, and we have defined that at what point of time somebody has to decide what he's good at, with his own help and with the help of others, and then he can kind of carve his career in that line. So that's classically what we offer. Yeah, talking about me, maybe I'm a good example to say that I started as a techie, uh, took some commercial responsibilities in between, again went back to as a techie, and then I was in the business line, and then the last 2-3 years I took change as HR. So good example, or maybe because change brings the best out of you, and therefore changing is good, and we allow people to change across these career paths.
In fact, I think, yes, it's a very interesting insight and a great example. So one doesn't have to feel that, hey, I've started out a certain way and I loved it and I've done really well. But if today there is another purpose or calling or draw, I don't have to feel that I've committed my 20 years or 15 years into a space and now am I doing the wrong thing in switching? And I think that's why it's always a good insight to know that there are verticals and it's okay to take a vertical that you feel right about at any given point in your career. So that's a lovely insight. Now we have some questions from the audience, and I've just picked out the couple that I felt were relevant to getting an answer from you. So the first one is, now the question is, though some students pass the technical interview, they fail in HR interview. Why is that so when they're so technically sound and so good, and then there are training processes after hiring? Why do they fail in the HR interview?
Right, good question. Yeah, the probability is less the younger you join the company, because when for example, when I look at a fresh engineer, we don't look at great HR skills or nothing like that. I mean, the guy has cleared the test, he knows what he's talking about. Technical interview, more or less the probability is very less that he kind of doesn't clear the HR interview unless he has got something very, 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 abnormal or something like that. But the probability is more not to clear the HR interview as you kind of the more senior you are and you're entering the company, because you take the example of a techie. Okay, even if you're a techie, it's not enough that you just say that I'm a technical guy, architect, but I don't know how to speak or I don't know how to abstract. Like, for example, you should be able to explain your technology even to a person who is not a technologist, right? So you should be able to abstract, you should be able to speak, you should be able to create that attention. Even I mean, we have seen great guys, great technical guys, great learned people, when they come and address to layman people. I mean, they should speak the language that the other person understand, able to abstract what they know in terms of. So all this is definitely required, even if you have to become a technical leader. It's not that you can keep your mouth shut and I know all these things, but I can't even, that's not the thing, because you've got to take part in the business, go with the sales guy and kind of win the order. Even if you're a techie guy, you should be able to present your system. So I think these are what HR is looking for. Is the guy able to communicate well? Does he have that overall picture? Does he have the spread of knowledge? So these are some of the things that we look in HR. And so possibly that's why when we look at these additional things, especially the more senior your profile are. So I think so. So and I also said that soft skills are also something that's very important in the coming print. So therefore, that's why a HR thing is as important.
Understood. And, also this new generation, as we see them, I think they're very enthusiastic and raring to go. But also at the same time, I'm not sure if I think for anybody, I guess even when I started the career, there is always this zeal to make your place, to prove yourself, to settle in, or to get accolades, or all of those things. And sometimes you go overboard. So how would you advise people who are just starting out their careers, especially even, let's say, the engineers, or even freshers in new jobs? How would you advise them to maintain a work life balance?
If you frankly ask me, I wouldn't advise them because, in our company we have something called reverse mentoring. I think now the current generation also is, they know what they are doing. They're very clear what they want to do and things like this. So it's not like, you have to sound like a very old style father that, hey, I've come the hard way. What do you think? Is life going to be easy? No, no, no. Hey, what do you, no, that's not the way. I think they are creative in their own way, and they can find their ways. And so as a company, we are also, our average age of the company is 29 years. So we have a lot of young guys around. The old guys and the young guys together make the thing. So I think it's learning both ways. We have what is called a reverse mentoring. For example, I take classes from a fresh engineer, once in a week. So I learned some of the latest things from them. Why do they think? What do they think? I think it's both ways. I don't want to be sounding like hey, I worked 25 years, I know everything. Therefore, this is how you have to do. I think it's both ways. I think we want to learn from the youngsters. The youngsters have to. I think it's both ways. There's no defined way of thing. I think they are
Fabulous.
smart. They are creative. I think that there are
So yeah,
opportunities for them.
don't yes. So I think that's a good answer. That this is not your time to worry about work-life balance. Just go all out
No,
and
no, there's no work-life balance. Actually, there's work-life integration already.
I love
I
that.
mean,
Yes, I often say that too. I think
work-life integration. Yeah.
it's you
This
should.
not like balancing. I mean, hey, go back home and have dinner and all that. Okay, you get. I mean, don't take it so much as
A
I mean, I'm
division.
not saying work. Yeah, I mean, kind of take it cool. I mean, yeah, I'm not saying that your Sunday should be spoiled by work. It doesn't mean that. But then, don't draw the line too thick. Enjoy your work, and also do some work while you're with your family. At the same time, when you're working, also have a cool call with your wife. No problem, right? So
I think that's so brilliantly put, and that is really true. And I love the way you said work, because I often tell people I don't understand the English of work-life balance. My work is
absolutely.
my life, and my life is my life, and whatever else is a part of my life. It's not that I stop living when I go to work and we start having some balance. But I like the word integration, and I think that's something a brilliantly answered question. So for those of you who are listening who had this question in mind, I think try to seek and immerse yourself in whatever you do, and the balance will find its own journey. Like, I think what's important is to just have the work life integration, as you have said. Brilliant. The last one, because this is an engineering firm, I am very curious, and somebody asked and I totally had to pull this question out for you. Do your questions change when you're hiring someone who's like, do the questions change as per the gender at the mid to slightly senior management level?
If I understand your question, if the gender changes and when you're taking people at middle to senior management, do the questions change? Not at all. Um Actually, a few 1 hour ago, I just was part of a worldwide women program of Bosch. So we are celebrating 25 years of women in Bosch, and so I was out of the program. So we have 33% of our population is women. We have 15% of women leaders. There's a woman in the so. Okay, let me not talk about man or woman. It's man or woman. No, I mean we absolutely not. I mean, women is part of life. 50% of our all fresh engineers year after year joining are women. So absolutely no. I mean, I don't think our campus is quite. Uh, you know, Women and men both are there. There's nothing, we don't see them differently. Absolutely.
Oh, that's a brilliant one, and
Actually, we're looking diversity beyond gender now. Gender diversity is done, dusted. There's no
already,
gender
yes.
diversity because we are done, and we are looking more for other kinds of things. Regional diversities. Are we also taking people from all over the country, all over the world? We are looking at alternately abled people also are coming and able to work. So we are more focusing on those things because gender diversity is something that's taken for granted, and I don't think we have crossed that actually. So, yeah.
I think that's a useful insight, because it might, what happens is a lot of people even curtail how far they may want to go because of this myth that there still is the question around. So I think it was a very good question that came up, and I had to put it across. And you've just answered it. That's a dated thing now. We don't have those concerns with diversity with regard to gender. So great.
Yeah, I
Now,
mean, it's taken for granted. I mean, as a society, when we have to give certain extra enablements to women, that's taken for granted. We are giving that. That's part of her life. It's given. Yeah, right.
lovely. The third section now, and this is a quick hire and fire section. So I want you to
Oh, okay.
talk about one quality in a candidate that for you is a sure shot hit, like a sure hire.
Passion.
Okay, and then what's the one quality that's a sure shot miss, surefire?
Sure shot miss. Lack of integrity.
Okay, okay, fabulous. And what's your favorite interview question?
Ha! What's my favorite interview question? What is that different that you bring to the table that I should take you to my company for this role? I have so many others, but why should I take you? What do you bring to the table? That's my question for a given role. I mean, I might make this question a bit more specific concerning the role for which I'm taking the person. But the question is, what do you bring different? Why should I take you and not the three other guys that I interviewed earlier?
Okay. Very interesting. This has been a really nice, very interesting and insightful interview, Sriram. We are at the last section of the interview where if I had to ask you to give one key advice to any job aspirant out there, whether it's a fresher, whether it's a C-suite, or whether it's someone looking for a job or having lost their job, what's the one advice you would give them at this point in time?
See, it's not about getting selected or getting rejected. You believe in your strengths. Each one of us has our own strengths. We are good at certain things. We are not good at certain things. Whoever it is, not everybody is good at everything. So invest in your strengths, believe in yourself, and go where you can work, taking your strengths to your advantage. Go there and work. There's nothing like this area is wrong or this area is right. So use your strengths and go and believe in yourself, and you can excel in that area. There's nothing like, oh, I didn't get in that company, I didn't get. I mean, you just believe in your strengths, make an entry and come up in life, and your strengths will take you to where you are. Your passion and strength will take you to it. It doesn't matter if you join a company that pays you low, whatever it is. I mean, these are things which might appear big for you now, but later in your career, I mean, these are the stepping stones. So don't bother it. Let it be a startup or let it be a multinational. It doesn't care. So where you're able to kind of put your strength and focus and do well, add value, go there and start your career. You will find your way.
Fantastic, brilliant. Believe in your strengths and you will find your way. I think that's a really lovely encapsulation of all that we want to achieve, even at the summit. Thank you so much for the interview, Sriram. It was really lovely to have you
Thank
here.
you, Vinny. I mean, I also enjoyed the questions, and it's a good change from my job for today. Beginning a long weekend. I think it was a nice discussion to have. Thank you very much. I hope I answered all your questions.
You most certainly did. Thank you.